we'll go ahead and get started. It's a couple minutes past 6. I don't want to keep you. Well, we can't stay too late because the library doesn't. They close at 8, and they're serious about that. Before we get started with the program, I'd like to introduce Jean Rourke, who's the executive director of the Paul Sawyer Public Library, and our host this evening, and our host on many occasions for those of us in the community that spend a lot of time here. So, Jean.
Welcome to your library. When Harry asked me to do the introduction and to welcome you all, I thought it seems a little awkward because this is your place, you know. We are thrilled that this is your place. So welcome home, maybe, is a more appropriate way to put this. So you know better, maybe than I do, the history of the library and what we've done. I got to walk into this situation 5 years and 3 months ago, and I feel very fortunate to be here and to be able to share with you all the wonderful things that Paul Sawyer Library does and what it means to the community, which you all know very, very well. So I want to thank you for being part of that, for making that happen, because libraries can't exist without the folks who come and use them and make it their home and make it their place. So you are just as much a part of the library as I am, as our staff is, as our materials are. So thank you for that. And we wouldn't be where we are without community partnerships like Story by Story. Mary Hamilton makes that happen for us, which will start again in March. The Frankfort Heritage Lecture Series is ongoing, which is one of our premier programs, and again, that's due to community partnerships and people taking part and sharing Frankfort's history with the rest of us. We have some great programming coming up for February and March for Black History and Women's History, and you know Diane Dehoney, who is our new, quote-unquote new, adult services manager, and her level of programming will not falter just because she has a new role. We have hired someone to fill that position who will be starting pretty soon, so you'll get to meet her. Big shoes for her to step into, but I'm sure you'll welcome her and make her feel just as home as the rest of us are. We also have a couple of partnerships going with Thornhill Education Center, the Family Literacy Center that we are helping to support, which is a national program, and a few other things that we're doing with Thornhill that we are more than thrilled to be part of. You know, our summer reading program for kids and families is also one of our big programs that gets to start in June, and that will again be for all ages. So we are trying to continue to be as responsive as we can be to the needs of the community, and we appreciate your being here, your telling us what you want, your participation, your support, and your loyalty for us. So thank you for being part of your library.
Thank you, Jean. Well, I guess what I should, if anybody has any questions for Jean about the library while she's here, I know that, anybody? All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and get started. Together Frankfort, as most of you know, was organized, it's been 8 years ago now, and by a group of folks that were concerned about the state of our elections. Imagine that. A community meeting established 2 main goals for this group. One was to register people to vote, which we are pretty diligent about doing around the community, and also to provide accurate and timely information to help educate voters. There's no sense in registering to vote if you don't know how you're voting. To this end, you know, Together Frankfort has organized and hosted a number of community events, from forums to other public discussions, partnering with other groups to try to help inform and engage the citizens of Frankfort and Franklin County. So by our bylaws, we have to have an annual meeting, which this is what we're doing today. So I guess quickly, we need to have, the only item of business tonight is that we need to accept the slate of coordinators that are going to keep this organization moving forward for the next year. And that would be me, I'm Harry Carver, Judy Goddard, Dawn Hale, Kay Harker, Bill Clear, Jeff Laird, Patty Porter, Barbara Hadley Smith, David Stumbo, Margaret Townsley, and Linda Waller. So I will just assume that everybody's okay, and these folks will move on with this organization for the next year. I guess before we get into the meat of the program, I do want to talk for a second about the past year for Together Frankfort. Many of you, I guess most of you actually in this room, have probably attended one of our Civics 101 forums. We started those, actually it was a year ago, and have been doing them pretty much monthly to help folks better understand how we're governed and the issues, particular issues related to local governance. And they've been fairly successful. It still amazes me that we appreciate the plant board. I should say how much we appreciate them filming them and allowing us to put them on our website. People walk up to me on the street and said, "Oh yeah, I saw that forum you all did the other night." So people actually do look and see. It's not just the people in the room, which is very encouraging. We also have begun, we've sponsored Earth Day activities for several years. Last year we started partnering with Liberty Hall, and we're able to do the Earth Day celebrations on the grounds of the Orlando Brown House, which turned out to be a great location to do it, and we are planning on doing that again this year. We also had this year the winning team on Spellapalooza. The RBGs, I don't know how many years, Mary Lynn, have they entered, or has Together Frankfort had a team? Does anybody know? Margaret? At least 4 or 5 years, so you may get called if we're short a team member. We also, this year, started doing something a little bit different from the Civics 101 forums, and we called it a town hall. There was the fiscal court had proposed a ban of single-use plastics to get that started, and we were able to host a town hall with folks to give people time or the opportunity to come in and ask questions and get a better understanding of what that proposed ordinance is all about. So all of these things, we will continue in the new year, and we look forward to seeing you at any number of events. We would like, if you don't already, to join us. We would certainly welcome any contributions that you might want to give. So we'll look forward to seeing you throughout the year. This year, and when we were talking about having an annual meeting and what we were going to do, we, well, what is it we're going to talk about? I know last year we had our county clerk, Jeff Hancock, and Secretary of State talk about, elections and how elections work and how good elections work and how, that we do a good job here of having fair elections. So this year we decided that given all the, if anybody spends any time on social media, it can be kind of unpleasant and it can ruin your day. And, so we decided we don't need to hear that stuff. There's so many good things going on in Frankfort. We decided to pick a few and talk about them tonight so that we could shine a light on the good things that are happening in this community. And hopefully it'll make people feel better about the world because we do good things here. People are engaged and there's a lot of great stuff going on. And we thought it was, important that we talk about that. And we're appreciative again of the plant board helping us broadcast it so more people can see. First up, I'm going to ask Barry Popp, who's with the Franklin County Community Fund, to talk a little bit about the fund as we try, as a community, as we try to grow our philanthropic pie, if you will. We are a generous community, but we can do more. We can't count on, government to fund everything, and I think there are ways for us to keep things moving forward and to fund more activities to continue to improve our quality of life. So Barry, you want to come up?
Pull me away from the chili. Good evening, I'm Barry Popp. I am on the board with Harry at the Franklin County Community Fund. By day, I work for Commonwealth Credit Union as a lender, and by night, I enjoy going home with my retired wife. She's retired and I still work. So I will say that this is my first time being with you guys. I commend you for the efforts. I'm going to call it community engagement. And I think that this year my word was intentional. I want to be intentional in things that I do and my priorities. I want to be intentional. And I think you guys are intentional to bring people to community engagement. I think for so long we get caught up in going to work, going home, taking care of the kids, fixing dinner. What's a community? Well, your community becomes your family and your time at home. Then you move past that, and this is very important stuff. You talk about civics, you talk about community finance, you talk about how our government's ran, things that people take for granted, but they can have so much influence in. So I commend you for this group, your efforts, and I hope it's sustained and that you guys can grow this even to fill this room and beyond. So keep up the good work, first of all. Secondly, speaking of community resources, the Franklin County Community Fund is a great resource. I don't know if a lot of you have been involved or given or seen anything that we've been part of. I'm sure you've seen it, may not have known we were part of it. We're just a little part of the background. We're not in the forefront of everything, but we're a resource that can be used. We have endowed funds for the fund. People that give, the funds go into an endowment so that they're there for a long time, forever, basically. And that gives back to the community. You can give $25 to this organization one time and it's gone. You give to the fund and it becomes a legacy. And recently we had a gentleman give us a really nice legacy contribution that is going to sustain our fund to give back even longer. So if you're interested in that stuff, you can see Harry or myself or look us up. But things that we've been involved in is we didn't fund anything. We just were kind of the sponsor of the Gimme Shelter. Y'all have seen the umbrellas and part of that. So that was one thing. We've been involved in giving gifts to nonprofits. We've helped many of them. We've helped Wanda Joyce. Here's a slide we've given to Grand, Imagination Library. So all of these funds that we collect, we get so much we can give away each year. So the fund stays intact, but we give our givables away to nonprofits, to organizations, to events. I've been on board for 3 years now, something like that. And to me, the Christmas tree has been the most talked about thing that we were part of. I think that set our downtown Christmas lighting, all of that, it just set it apart. And it's because of those funds that come in, we have money to give away, and that's what we chose this year to do. So you can set up your own fund, you can give to the community fund. There's many, many ways to get involved. And I think I said at one thing that your nickels and my nickels go a long way. I think Mr. Rosen said nickels, we need quarters. So I'm not going to use nickels or quarters. I'm just going to say what you can give it to the community fund, and we can give it back a lot longer than you giving just a donation to an organization. So it's a way for you to give a gift that literally keeps on giving. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions. If I can't, Harry's here, so we'll just direct them to him. But I thank you for having me tonight and letting me talk about this fund, because it's for Frankfort and Franklin County, for this generation, the next generation, and beyond. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. All right, thank you. Oh, shoot, we've got two. Yes, sir.
How much of the funds that are in there are not specifically for a given cause, or just kind of like in a general account that could be used wherever?
So we've surpassed on our endowed fund over 500,000, over 600,000 in the endowed fund. Out of that, we get spendables each year, and those are to the board's discretion. There's not a set that we're giving to this or that. We just, as we get the funds available, we may, like last year, we rolled over quite a bit of our givables because we didn't have a lot of asks or those things. So it's pretty much the givables are open to discretion. So if that makes sense. But then there's things like the county parks has a fund that's separate, and that's for the county parks. Pardon me? City parks, I'm sorry. And then there's the trees. Is that the same one? Was there a tree fund? the tree fund. So there's some specific funds that go to those things. So if you've got ideas, we're happy to set up a fund. It saves you from going out and setting up a 501c3 and all those expenses. You can set up a fund and run it through the foundation, and you're good to go. So in the back there, yes, ma'am.
When was this community fund created, and how do you apply? So do you have a schedule?
When did we start? Was it 2015 or so? I'm thinking it was late 15, but I could be wrong. Harry was part of it. 16 is probably right, so I'll go with Harry. We do not have a schedule. We used to, before I came on board, we would do applications for grants, grant applications. We don't do that right now. So if you have a need, you can contact the fund. And if we can get that through our process, then we can certainly try to help.
Well, I was struck by, so that we wouldn't have to become a 501c3. You can handle that for us?
Yes, ma'am.
And it would be designated to this group?
It can be. It can be for any specific reason. We would have to get with the Bluegrass Foundation, who actually houses the funds, and they would set up your fund, and then you could advertise that. I think they've got QR codes that can be used, things of that nature. Yes, ma'am. Very much. There was somebody else that I missed. Yes, sir.
So we're kind of talking about the one hidden gems in Frankfort. So I see a lot of things up there. So what on your list of things this year is like something really nice and fantastic that you've been able to make happen this year?
Well, this past year, like I said, the Christmas tree to me was the big one. We contributed a sizable donation to that. That's a big one. One that was near and dear to us was the grand, what was it, the balcony, Voices in the Balcony. That was one that we did that we actually contributed to. Like I said, Gimme Shelter, we didn't contribute funds. We housed funds for that, for CARES Coalition. We do make a donation to Imagination Library. So there's several things that we do contribute to. And let me just say, it's not like we have $1 million every year. So we try our best, like the things that we give to leverage it, to get the word out about our organization, about our fund, to get bigger so that we can give more away. So we try to leverage those gifts. Yes, sir.
Here's an idea, maybe you've already done this, but I'm wondering if the Franklin County Community Fund sees a need for some project and they issue a challenge grant that says we will give you X amount of dollars if you will find donors that will match it and make the money in the fund go twice as far. Have you ever done that? We have.
We do matching not all. We do matching quite a bit. We'll match the first 5,000 or whatever that amount looks like. We have done that. We've basically done that for current nonprofits. We've done it for a few projects, but mostly we'll tell a nonprofit, hey, you raise this, we'll match it. So very much so. Good idea. Anyone else? All right, are you cooks in here? I'm taking the chili and I'm out. It was great. Thank you all for having me. If you have any questions, just give myself or Harry a call, or call the credit union and ask for Barry, and I'll be glad to help any way I can. Thank you all. Thanks, Harry.
Next up, I'm going to have Susie Hosley come talk about downtown. Any of you that spend any time down here know that there's been a marked change in what's been happening downtown over the last few years. Those of us who have been here a while, and watching what's going on downtown, it's been a long slog, but it's really, I think we've, turned the corner, and I know Susie's going to talk about what's been going on and what will continue to go on.
All right, thank you, Harry. I tend to ramble and forget what I'm talking about, so I usually have to have like a speech to keep me like on pace so I don't get like lost in the weeds. But I like to make things kind of laid back and just kind of give you an idea of what we're doing and then answer questions. But I do want to say on the Christmas tree, I want to echo Barry on that project. I posted some pictures of the tree in the snow, the first big snow that we had, and that was probably one of our most engaged social posts that I've seen. I had people contacting me from other communities. I had a magistrate from another community contact me about that project, and they want a tree like that in their community. So it was great to see because you really saw community pride in that. I mean, I had over 1,000 likes and hearts and 500 comments, so it really brought community pride. So I just wanted to, I agree with you. I thought, you know, it's just like you don't know sometimes, and then I just thought it was a pretty picture and posted it, and it just blew up. So story of my life. So I will, first of all, kind of give you an idea of what Downtown Frankfort, Inc. is. I think sometimes there's confusion of who we are, and I think it's been a lot of things over the year. I know, Harry, you were there at one point, weren't you? And I always say you've seen one community, you've seen one community, because everyone does it a little bit differently. But so I'll read you our lengthy mission statement. I apologize. I'll read you the mission statement and then tell you what it means. But so Downtown Frankfort, Inc., we're a nonprofit. So we are a standalone nonprofit organization. We're not a part of the city or the county, but we do work very closely with the city and county and various other community organizations. Our mission is to promote a historical downtown by creating exceptional experiences and aesthetics for all those who live, work, and visit, to support and advocate for businesses, residents, and tourists through marketing, partnerships, networking platforms, and signature events. So basically that just means that we are a cheerleader for downtown Frankfort. We support the vitality of downtown Frankfort. We have a lot of partnerships. And a bulk of what I do is to create programming that engages our local community, our regional community, national. We want to engage people into our downtown. So our programs are meant to just get people downtown and hopefully to have a economic impact while they're down here. So, but what Harry called me and to speak, because the theme today, and I agree, we all need a little positive right now. So I'm going to try to, stay on our positive. So I just want to say it is really wonderful to see. We are really seeing an incredible momentum in downtown Frankfort right now. I'm sure everybody feels it. I hope so. Over this last year and a half, we have seen, it's been very transformative. We've seen maybe, I would say 20 to 30 new businesses just in the year and a half open. 2 of those new boutique hotels in our downtown, which are game changers. I don't know if you've visited the Delegate or the Ashbrook. And of course the restaurants that are a part of those those hotels, Brown Barrel, so we've had 3 new restaurants, a number of boutiques, a floral shop, which all add to the ambiance of downtown. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I got the little clicker. Just kind of gives you an idea. Which I feel like is truly giving us the, I guess the recognition that Frankfort is now, we are a destination. We have tours, and we've always been known for our historic downtown, but now we're starting to be known for shopping and eating and tours and just things to see. So it's been exciting. I want to thank, I keep talking about, it truly takes a village. I'm the only employee of Downtown Frankfort, Inc. So I always say, people are like, how do you do that? Well, it's easy. we have a wonderful community here, and it really, truly takes a village, and we have committees and partnerships. But thanks to Bourbon on the Banks, DFI, we acquired a grant for our open flags. For our retail shops, and every time I see those flags waving, I just feel like this sense of pride where you can see, like, look at that, our downtown, we're open for business, and I feel like it's so inviting. I don't know if you guys have seen, like, when you look down the street and you've seen the flags, but I love seeing when they're just lined up down the street like that. Our events have we're seeing more and more tourists just this past year. It is definitely recognizable, the amount of tourists in downtown from all over the country. Surprisingly, I see a lot of people from Wisconsin. And actually, right before I came here tonight, I wrote that down. I talked to a couple that was here from Wisconsin, and they just love it here in Frankfort. But we're also seeing our events. This last year, there's been a major increase in the attendance for our events. I think and we're seeing more regional people coming in. And record numbers for some of these events, like our Witches Night Out and the Summer Concert Series. That first concert that kicks off the series was record numbers. So our visitors, like I said, they've been blown away by the quality of the programming. And I feel like the narrative now is, instead of there's nothing to do here, it's I have to come back for this and that. Like, they're seeing that there's not enough time to do everything here. So that's been exciting to see. Beyond, the events, the increase in events and tourists, we've garnered a lot of regional recognition. Downtown Frankfort this past year, a number of times we've been featured in the Lexington Herald Leader. I've done several interviews where I've been reached out to from WKY NPR station. WKYT News has come and done a number of our events. So that's been exciting to see. And then just this week, Frankfort was ranked number 10 on top 25 places to invest in short-term rentals. I just had that article forwarded to me yesterday. So I think, again, the testament of everything that's going on our exposure has just been fun to see. I could probably just go on and on and on with downtown. Does anyone have any questions? I'll say DFI, we have about 18 programs we do in the year, so we stay pretty busy. We're getting ready. I'm planning our chocolate stroll that brought our lovely little poster, our chocolate stroll that's February the 8th, another fun event where you just come and engage in our downtown. And it's featuring Rebecca Ruth. I find, when you do these programming, to do things that's unique to Frankfort. And that's what people want to come out for. So I'm excited about that. But does anyone have any questions about our events, our programs?
Do you have a directory of everything that's going on?
Excuse me?
Like a main
Do you
calendar?
have some kind of directory that?
Yes. Yeah, great question. So downtownfrankfort.com. Go to our website, our events, like the signature events we do. They're all listed, and there's a web page for each event that's got the information. Our social media, so Facebook, Instagram, we post regularly. Our social media is on fire right now. I'd say I just looked at analytics just yesterday. We have about 100,000 in reach. I mean, we grew maybe 2,000 in followers just this year. These events, these regional events really help with that. But yeah, if you follow our Facebook, Instagram, or you can go to the site.
Do you have a community calendar? You're talking about your events, right?
Right. No, so downtown Frankfort, like our website, I just have on our site like the signature events that DFI puts on.
Tourism
Now,
might have
yeah, I was
more.
going to say
I think
Frankfort.
Tourism has like a general, like if you wanted to look at all community events, tourism.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, visit Frankfort. Yeah, they have the community calendar because that'll be community wide. But we do share a lot of things on the Facebook page. Like if I've got an event or a business, I share as I see. So if things are like, say St. Patty's Day is coming up, I will start sharing all the different events that the different, restaurants and bars or shops are doing. So if you follow that page, you're going to see a lot of things.
Well, a lot of times I get mine on Facebook events, because then you can narrow it down to the week that you want to look at. And almost all the events are always posted on like an events page.
Oh yeah.
That's where I kind of keep up with
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for Witches Night Out?
It's so fun.
That's been so fun to just see what it's become. So I just want to tell you, I started in July of 2023. And before that, I came from the chamber, and I was there for about 16 years, and then came on to downtown, because downtown, it's just always it's been a very special place in my heart. I love Halloween. I love fall. Like, I just love it so much. And I felt like, it felt like there wasn't a lot happening in and how, like, around that time and down, you had Candlelight, right? And you had Summer Concert Series, but, like, what's happening in between those things in downtown? And we had enough craft, like, bars and restaurants and shops. So I was like, we could do a sip and shop. And we could do themed drinks. And so I was talking to some of my girlfriends. I was like, what if we did a Witches Night Out? Like, so that's something I would have fun, dressing up and going out. And they're like, oh my gosh, I love that. I could not. Everyone thought I was crazy. I couldn't get a sponsor. I barely got a sponsor. I talked them into it like maybe 3 weeks before I got this, like, Dr. Black's Eye Associates. So shout out to them. She was like, okay, yeah, we'll sponsor it. And so I did the save the date. And it was like, it just went like wildfire on Facebook when from here to like just surrounding counties. And I thought, wow, who would have thought if you just target women to shop and drink with their friends and dress up, it would be so popular. And I remember and I find that, again, you got to find things that are unique to your community. We have a wonderful museum, Capital City Museum. Man, what an essence of our community, and it's right there in downtown. So I find with these strolls, if you can have a start location, you got to have a hub, and that sets the tone for the night. So if you can get a good hub, and you can have maybe you got an exhibit going on, you got information there. So Ellie was like, yeah. I don't know if you guys know Ellie, but talk about a partner. She was like, absolutely. I'm in, this sounds great. So I remember that night, it was 6 o'clock, and I opened the doors, and I always do this thing where I have event anxiety before every event. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a flop. It's going to be a failure. And no one's coming, And I remember opening the doors, and the parking lot of Capital City Museum, there had to be 300 women dressed up. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Talk about power in women when they are in large groups. It was amazing. So they're coming through, and it's great, and we're busy. And I had some friends come down at an hour in, and we had a photo booth, so they came in to take pictures. And I'm like, oh, this is great, guys. There's been 300 women that have come downtown. And my friend grabs me, and she goes, Susie, have you seen downtown? Have you left the museum? Have you walked down Broadway Street? And I was like, no. She said, there's 1,000 people in downtown right now. And there was. I just remember oh my gosh. And it's so funny because a lot of the bars and restaurants ran out of alcohol. Some of them closed the next day. They sold out. Nobody was ready for it. Nobody batched anything, So we learned a lot from that first year. And I want to say this year we probably had, it's hard to gauge, so I just try to figure out with emergency management what they think, and so we think we were between 4,000 to 5,000 people in downtown for our second Witches Night Out. So It was amazing, so. Yeah. Sorry, that was a very, that's why I told you I have to bring a speech. That was a very long-winded answer, but is there any other questions?
I just want to say how amazing you are. Because
Thank you.
I think what we all needed to hear tonight, which it has been a dark few days, I mean seriously. So having you all do this, the notice undertone to all this is people encouraging each other to do something, right? So when you have somebody that believes in you, you know, you can do anything. I mean, that's why I'm in the position I am today. And that's a lesson we should all leave here with. If anybody's asking you if they want to do something, if you're not surrounded by people that say, hell yeah, let's go, find a new group. Because this group represents that. The people that you talked about represent that. And that's what we need to bring back to our communities and show that we can be and ignore all the noise of the crap that's going on outside of here and control what we're doing here. And you're doing an amazing job.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I can't take all the, like I said, it's the partnerships. But like my motto, like, I really believe this, and the programming that we're doing, I mean, if you build it, they'll come, right? And that's what we're seeing. A strong downtown is a strong community. So if you build the programming, you get them to come, you start getting community pride, it's a trickle effect into everything else, so, yes.
When I see these new stores open up, I worry about how long are they going to be there? Because I've run into so many people that never come downtown, that live in, out for sales road or something.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been downtown. How do we reach those people and get them to support these businesses?
I know, you're so right, and if I knew the answer to that, you know. I mean, it's a number of things too. It's what they need to do, it's what the responsibility of our community too, it's just supporting each other. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, because you think about going to get a birthday present, you know, there's, how many of us just think, oh, I gotta go to Lexington, or, you know, you're just not used to it yet. I always go downtown now.
Yeah.
Or to Buffalo Trace gift shop, or, I mean, the gift shop, the Capital City Museum, I bought all my Christmas presents down there. And the Kentucky History Center has an amazing little gift shop if you're looking for Frankfort, Kentucky things. It's just, I think it's just changing the habit.
It's changing the habit, the mindset, and it's a little bit of everything. But, you know, I mean, it's doing things like this, like a chocolate stroll. Like, again, community pride. And it is, you know, it's as simple as you go downtown and you eat chocolate. But, like, people are looking for things to do. And which is night out? You know, so many women came down and they're like, well, I haven't been down here. This is great. You know, so it's creating the program that gets them down here. And then it's also working with, you know, DFI, we try to be that communication resource for our businesses and, you know, offer business support. But it's trying to, like, remind them, like, you got to build your platform. You know, you've got the business, but some of the most important things you have to do when you have a business is you got to tell your story, and who are you telling your story to? What's your story and who are you telling it to? And that's what I always tell them. Like, you can't just open and then expect people to walk through. You got to work at it. You got to think, who's your target audience? Are you doing a monthly newsletter? Are you involved in these events? Are you posting about it? You know, so I think this has really helped this last year get some of our business owners out of their comfort zone as well. But yeah, it's just a little bit of everything, or a little bit of everything that we try to change that mindset on. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Will you be partnering with us on birthday again?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I was there. That was a good time. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you. I'm sorry I like failed on like doing the slide. I will say we do have our new dates posted on our events on the site, but I will be also through our social media channel making a post soon of all the dates in one place. So you can see like when the summer concert series are, the fall events. We've got Burger Week coming up, Hot Brown Trail, Derby, all of those things. And I do, I'm shameless plug DFI. So our funding is solely on sponsorships and donations. And so just want to remind people, so if you like what you come to and you like what you see, on our page we do have a donation page, but I'm trying to start a Friend of DFI program. So if you donate, you'll get a fun little tote bag that's going to have a fun little downtown slogan on it. And then we'll do a newsletter, like a quarterly newsletter, that you will get updates on what's happening. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to launch that soon. So thank you.
Thanks, Susie. And you may notice as we move forward, there's going to be a theme here. I think it has a lot to do with strong women with vision. The next speaker is going to talk about, let me see if I can remember to switch this thing, about arts in the community and how important arts are and what she is doing with not only her vision with Josephine Sculpture Park, but what she's done in collaboration with people all over town. Melanie Van Houten.
Thank you all for having me join you this evening. I too am focusing on good things this week. So that I don't forget, I did bring an impact report and a brochure that have a lot more information than I'll be able to share with you in my brief time with you, and they're on the back table. So please grab that on your way out so that you can have even more information about the sculpture park. So as Harry said, I'm Melanie Van Houten. I'm the founder and the executive director of Josephine Sculpture Park, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about what we're doing, and we'll also answer any questions that you have. I am involved in lots of art things around town. I serve on the board of the Grand Theater. Josephine Sculpture Park manages the Arts Downtown program. We partner with Yes Arts. We have our hand in a lot of different art things. So I'll get to it and we'll see what questions you have. Which way do I go with that? Okay, so as many of you know, and many of you have been to the Josephine Sculpture Park, thank you very much. As most of you know, the Sculpture Park is free and open 365 days a year from dawn until dusk. We just celebrated our 15th year in 2024, which is like, kind of blows my mind. Thank you very much. During that time, we have exhibited the work of over 200 artists. We have artists from 29 different states represented in our rotating exhibition and 14 different countries. Just to name a few. So on the daily, there are about 80 artworks there from artists from all over the world. And our mission is to connect people to each other and the land through the arts. And we do that through a variety of ways and a variety of different programs. This year, I'm really excited that we're going to be focusing much more intently on the exhibition at the Sculpture Park, and we're going to be rotating out a lot of work and bringing in new work. Most of the pieces at the park are not permanent. That's intentional so that we can continue to support artists in creative endeavors and innovative ideas and challenging themselves to make work they can't make anywhere else. It also means it's different every time you come visit, and that's an important part of what we do. So we can continue to support artists and provide new opportunities for you to see new things and, think about new ideas in different ways. We serve about 30,000 people at the Sculpture Park a year. And through our Arts Downtown program, we reach about another 100,000 people. So we have a variety of self-guided activities at the Sculpture Park that you can access in person in our visitor center. They're also available online, and we work with a lot of educators to provide online opportunities for them that they can use with their students to create their own curriculum, to work with a variety of different coursework and grade levels. that big red sculpture is going to be coming to the park. It's huge. It looks very small in this lower image, but I'm excited about it. So another key component of what we do and of our mission is our land stewardship program. The park has grown in 15 years from 10 acres to 40 acres. And we're working on putting that into a conservation easement. And there's a lot of work that happens there in terms of removing invasive species and trying to mitigate damage that's been done over the years from really harsh farming. And so we are working with a variety of different partners on different programmatic activities. So we have an amazing partnership with Kentucky State University Forestry Program, where they offer workshops and learning opportunities to the public, sometimes online, sometimes in person, or both. And we are the site for that programmatic activity. So it helps us at the Sculpture Park by removing invasive species, improving wildlife habitat in a variety of ways, but it also is educational opportunities for the community and great opportunities for students too, and for us to partner. I got to call out this little picture of these bluebird eggs up here. So we have a bluebird trail at the Sculpture Park, and we partner with Bluebirds of Central Kentucky to do that, and it's a citizen science project. And so we have groups of volunteers that come and monitor those boxes every week, and they clean them, and they take data on them, and we have school groups that are part of that program too. And we have one young kid who's really interested in photography who got involved with the Bluebird Trail, and that is his photo. And he is like so into photographing birds. And so through a partnership with Audubon, we also know that we have 114 different bird species that have been identified at the Sculpture Park, which is also amazing to me that there are so many different birds. I am learning about birds. It's amazing to me how many are at the park, and that there are a lot of fairly rare birds that you can find at the Sculpture Park. And that's, in part due to our work improving wildlife habitat for them. So we have a lot of amazing partners. Wild Birds Unlimited, I'm going to call them out too, because she is the primary person that does the training on the Bluebird Trail and monitors it. And if you ever need anything for birds, please go support Kristen at Wild Birds Unlimited, because she supports not only us, but lots of other schools and other programs in the community. Another amazing project that we have is our Art in Public Places program. Our primary exhibition for this program is our Arts Downtown exhibition, which many of you are probably familiar with. And this is how we manage and curate the contemporary artworks that rotate through downtown. So there's an element that are sculptures, and those rotate every 2 years. And we do that. We find those artists through a national call, and we have a community committee, some of whom are in this room, who review those applications and make the selection for those sculptures. That's also the way we select the artists for the murals downtown. And also how we partnered with the city on the Transit Center project to bring Xavier Cortada here to do his amazing mixed media mosaic mural that's in the new Transit Center building. So this cycle is scheduled to rotate again, the sculptures, this fall. So there will be new funding through the city and that partnership to help make that happen, and potentially some new exciting little tiny murals also. Let's see. Our Artist in Residence program is really a key feature at the Sculpture Park, and this is the way that a lot of new work comes to the park. We have a residency program where artists submit proposals, and there's a committee that reviews those to make selections for artists to come and live in Frankfort and create new work on site. We select artists who are submitting proposals that are things that they couldn't do elsewhere. And this program is a way for them to really challenge themselves, and it is really exciting for us. We're going to be reinvigorating this program this year. And it's going to be changing, and it's really exciting. So I hope that you'll stay tuned for that and see the new artwork that comes in this year. Our events. So we have a variety of events. Barn Raisin has happened for several years. That is features music and food and the entire sculpture park. That's our fundraiser that happens in June every year. And we have also a variety of programs and events that we partner with Lexington Philharmonic on the Symphonic Stroll that happens, and our Joyful Gratitude Gathering that is our winter event. There will be some new member events this year also, so stay tuned for that. Field trips, we have around 800 students that come for guided field trips every year. We have students from University of Louisville, Franklin County High School, plein air painting class. We have summer camp kids that come. I love this photo from the Wolves Den, and the Stewart Home and School. And so we have a lot of different opportunities for people to plug in at all ages and all abilities. I'm trying to zip through these here, so I'm sure I'm skipping a lot of stuff, but please ask me questions at the end. So we have artists who teach eco art workshops, and we have staff that teach these workshops as well. We have a variety of different ways that happens, and again, sometimes it's connected to a field trip, sometimes it's something totally on its own. But these are going to be expanding this year, and that's a really exciting program that Jerry's working on. Let's see, I might have skipped one there. So we have several camp partnerships that are happening that we have, through the years, we've worked with Yes Arts and the Just Say Yes program, Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation, among others, to provide opportunities for students to work with artists, again, artists from around the world. So this is Peyton Scott Russell, who is a graffiti writer out of Minneapolis, and he was here back in 2018 and did a graffiti camp on his graffiti sculpture that's called Graphology Hinge, and Peyton is going to be coming back. So we're partnering with his nonprofit organization, which is called Spray Finger, to do a week-long camp on this sculpture. So kids will actually learn letter writing and design and do paintings on the sculpture itself. You will often see us out in the world away from the sculpture park at other events and doing different types of outreach activities. So, and again, these take place or take a lot of different forms, and we really try to work with partners that align with our mission. And so if any of you out there are interested in having the sculpture park be part of your event, please reach out to us and we'll see if it would be a good fit for everybody. Our volunteer program is amazing. Thank you. There are a lot of volunteers in this room. So thank you all for helping make the park what it is. We're going to be expanding this program as well. Ooh, Harry, look, you're down in that lower picture. We're going to be expanding this program as well, and there, again, are a lot of opportunities for people to support the park during events, not during events, providing a variety of kinds of services to help make the park what it is. Okay, so I want to say thank you and answer any questions that you all may have. Yes.
Do you just want people that do sculpture, or do you want people that do painting?
At the sculpture park, you mean through the residency program?
Right.
We do specialize in sculpture. That is what our staff expertise is in, and we have the technical skills and equipment to assist artists in making really big things that no other residency can do. So that is an area of expertise that we specialize in. That said, we have had artist interns who have been painters and dancers and, come from different art forms. But we do, at the sculpture park, through the residency program, really kind of specialize on sculptures. It could also be, sculpture, we could have a whole talk about what sculpture is. Sculpture is like anything, right? So we have artists who have come and done earthworks. We have site-specific temporary kinds of installations. We had an artist come once and burn binary code into the grass, and that lasted for about 3 months until the grass grew, and then it wasn't there anymore. And so, what sculpture is sort of a big open field of ideas and form, but generally speaking, yes, we seek out artists working in sculpture. Yes, Barbara?
How do you connect with these people, and are there other parks similar to yours?
So we connect with them through a variety of ways. Of course, we have a big social media presence, and we have email lists. We're also members of organizations like the International Sculpture Center, and we put our calls out through the opportunities pages on things like that. There is also an organization called the Artists Alliance, the Artist Communities Alliance, and they specialize in residencies, and kind of they're that house where everybody goes to look for what residencies are available. So we publish the opportunities in those places. What was your next question?
Are there other parks similar to yours?
There are a couple. There are a lot of sculpture parks. Most sculpture parks are connected to museums and house permanent collections of large outdoor sculptures that you can't touch. And so in that way, we're very different. There are 2 other parks that I know of that are the model that we are, which are Franconia Sculpture Park, which is outside the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and Socrates Sculpture Park, which is in Long Island City. And Socrates really started the model, and it was started by Mark DeSuvero, who was a sculptor, and he lived in that area, and his studio was there. And this area where Socrates is a 4-acre part of Long Island City that is on the Hudson River, and it really was like neglected. It was owned by the city, and it was kind of like a dumping ground, but it was next to his studio, and he builds really huge sculptures. Google Mark DeSuvero, and he started just putting big giant sculptures over there. And then the community was like, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, hey, I'm putting these big sculptures here. And they're like, ooh, can we help? And he was like, yeah. And then the whole community just started rallying around him and cleaning up this area. And he really was squatting on city property, but it took him 8 years to figure it out. And by that time, he had created this sculpture experience for people and really cleaned up the whole area with the community. They did it together. And so Socrates now exists as its own entity, its own nonprofit, but it is part of the New York City public park system. And it's a gem. If you're ever in New York, please go visit Socrates. And so they've been around for 30 years. And out of Socrates came Franconia Sculpture Park, which is in Minnesota. And some friends of Mark's decided they wanted to take this model and try to see if it would work in the middle of a cornfield, in the middle of nowhere. And so they did, and it did. And then that was also started by sculptors. So there's a theme here in this sort of different model of sculpture park. I ran out the thing. Talked so long, I ran out the microphone. So I was a fellowship artist at Franconia Sculpture Park, and was involved with Franconia when I lived in Minneapolis for 10 years, and was inspired by my experience there as a fellowship artist to come back home and build a sculpture park here. It was a way for me to save the farm that was my family's farm, and to share it with people, and to support artists and engage the community and provide opportunities that weren't here when I was a kid. And as a creative kid that grew up here, I never thought about being an artist as my life's work, because I didn't know any artists, Thank you. So we wanted to, create opportunities for families and kids who were kind of like me to have a place where they could see themselves and see opportunities for their life that weren't just, like, well, you grow up and you get some job. It was like, actually, you could make up your own job, and it could be fun, and it could be creative, and it could give back to the community. And nobody like has to give you permission to do that. You can give yourself permission to do that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but anyway, those are the two others that I know of that are like us. Thank you. Good question, Barbara. Are there any other questions? Yeah, Susie.
It's more so a statement, but I feel like Frankfort has such a rich art community here. And we really have just a superb art community, from music to visual art. And the public art installation in downtown, it really like showcases that. And it's just so fun to see, like, again, that community pride, the number of sculpture pieces and the murals. I see so many visitors that interact and take pictures with them.
Yeah.
Because it's just so cool. And I think the selections that, that you guys select are so fun. Like,
Yes.
The one on St. Clair Street.
The psychiatrist is in. Yes.
But I can't wait to see, I know it rotates out. Like, it's exciting to see each term when you get your new pieces. But kudos to you, because it's such an important work, and
It's just like that icing on the
Thank
cake
you.
for them, so.
Well, I got to give a shout out, and he disappeared, but this was Rich Rosen's idea, was to put the sculptures downtown as an economic driver. And of course, Rich is a supporter of the arts, as is Anna Marie, and that is an important part of it, but he knew that it would bring people here. And so we partnered on that back in 2017, I think, is when we started doing that, like in earnest, in a big way. And it launched that program, and they've continued to be involved and in many ways and continue to support that program. So that wouldn't probably exist without the support of friends who see the value in that. But it is multifaceted, and that was the intention, and that it rotates again so that there's something new, and it doesn't become a thing you don't see anymore, because it's going to change, and that keeps people interested. And we definitely, for the work downtown, when we put the call out, it is intentionally to be whimsical and engaging and colorful. Like, those are the kind of things we're going to select and score higher on the rubric. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for supporting it, Anna Marie. Any other questions? Thank you all.
And now, we're not getting away from the arts. Not only do we have this theme of the strong woman with vision, but as you notice, that everything is kind of, not necessarily intentionally, but how tied together everything is, and the threads that run through all of the programs that these speakers are talking about. I want to bring up Elle Travis, who is a woman of incredible vision, who will talk about not only her organization, Yes Arts, but how some of the other, we're calling it social enrichment, for a lack of a better way to put it, is that we're taking care of our human capital.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for having me here tonight. Having 2 out of 2 sick kids and a furnace that went out on the coldest day of the year was not on my bingo card for 2025, so I'm glad to be here with you all. I'm here today on behalf of Yes Arts. I am the executive director, and I'm a born and raised Frankfortian. And I always like to ask when I have new audiences, how many of you have ever heard of Yes Arts or Hands Healing Hearts? Ooh, this is a captive audience. That was high numbers. You're my people. So I won't go super deep. Do I have a clicker? Okay. I won't go super deep, because I also want to be able to touch on some of our other organizations in Frankfort who are offering social enrichment. You might think of us in the category of health and human services. My particular organization is an arts-based organization, so we use art as the tool, which is, what we're doing with people, but I like to think of it as heart work. A lot of what we're doing it's not the product of the art that we're making, but about how we're using art as the tool for healing. Let's see. So Yes Art's mission is mobilizing the power of community and the arts to disrupt the cycle of addiction. And so a lot of people get confused when they hear that mission because it's pretty specific that we work with people who have addiction or who are in that cycle. But it is a much broader and more elaborate plan, which is to meet that mission. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. I'm going to go back in time. If you've heard of us and you've heard of Yes Arts and Hands Healing Hearts, you're probably familiar, but I like to touch on our history really briefly for those who aren't aware. We started way back in 2016. You can see the photo up there of Doris and her daughter Maya. Doris Thurber is a local Frankfort artist, and she lost her daughter Maya, who was 22 at the time, to a heroin fentanyl overdose after many years of struggle trying to get healthy. And so in the following year, Doris and Joanna Hay and Jennifer Zing, 3 women artists in our community, started a program called Hands Healing Hearts. And they partnered with the judges at Franklin County Court System with their drug court program, and they brought arts programming, weekly arts programming, to women in recovery. And so that was our pilot program, and that is what kicked off what is now Yes Arts. In 2018, we became a 501c3, and we hired the super fabulous first executive director, Amelia Berry, and I'll talk a little bit about her in a little bit when I talk about our sister program, Just Say Yes. And then we immediately after, around that time, rebranded to Yes Arts. We actually, when Amelia came on, she recognized the need for, we had these women in recovery, and all of them had children who were affected by their addictions. They had hard home lives, they were disadvantaged in getting into programs and things that were going to keep them healthy and on the right path. And so Amelia explored some very in-depth work about youth prevention models, and we actually started Yes Arts as the youth model under Hands Healing Hearts, and then later decided that's actually our whole organization and rebranded to Yes Arts. And so in 2019, we became DBA Yes Arts. Started the Just Say Yes initiative. Has anybody ever heard of the Yes Card or Just Say Yes initiative? Cool, got some hands on that. That is the program that Amelia now runs, and it started at Yes Arts when she was our executive director. It broke away, and it now lives at the health department. So if you hear about kids who have a stipend card, like a little spending card with $200 or $300 on it per year, it helps pay for them to get to arts classes, dance, pottery, taekwondo, things to keep kids on a good path and not getting involved in things after school like drugs. And so in 2021, when Amelia moved over to the health department to run the Just Say Yes initiative as its own program, I came in. I had been working as the program coordinator on the youth program, and during the pandemic started running our recovery program. And so I became the ED in 2021. And at that time, we were in the depths of the pandemic and everything was virtual. And I said, we've got to get a building because we can't have a bunch of kids and we can't be, our mission is bringing community and the arts together, and you can't really do that online very easily. And so I worked with our board and our founding artist and the city of Frankfort, and we leased the old Frankfort Plant Board building right next to City Hall and the fire department. And so in 2021, we got that space and opened up an art center. These are some of the people we partner with. This is a very small list because we partner with a whole lot more than this, but these are what I like to call our daily partners. We do a lot of programming with the schools. Just Say Yes, which is Amelia's program. Wanda Joyce Robinson, I'm going to talk about them a little bit more. They work with children who have incarcerated parents and their caregivers. The Frankfort Cares Coalition, Fresh Start Frankfort, which was formerly our women's shelter, and now they are a recovery and transitional housing program. Our court systems, we still host our pilot program, the drug court program. Our city and county government, we work with the police department to bring in local law enforcement to engage with people in recovery and children who have incarcerated parents, and it goes on and on and on. This is a slide I like to use. Again, you see Doris and Maya and the start of our program. And this is kind of a story that not many people know, perhaps. But Maya had a daughter, and her name is Amelia. And the lower left photo is Amelia meeting her sister on her adoption day, and she's now adopted and has a lot of beautiful siblings. And Doris continues to teach her batik, her specialty. She actually taught a class this morning. And Amelia is all grown up and attends programs alongside her siblings and other friends in our community. And Amelia's father, who she doesn't know, Chris, just graduated our drug court program. And so when we talk about using community and the arts to disrupt the cycle of addiction, we're talking about full circle community impact, full circle family impact. And we don't just serve people who are in recovery. We work with bringing in artists, we work with bringing in kids, and a whole variety of other ways to break that cycle down. So we have 3 buckets of programming. It started with recovery through our drug court program, and today we've actually expanded that a pretty good deal. We still have our drug court program, but we now offer programs for men and women. And during the pandemic, we of course had 3 women artists teaching the program, and it was phenomenal, and they were having what looked like a weekly art class. But during the pandemic, when I took that program over, I actually just in December celebrated my 11-year healthy birthday from drug addiction. And so when I started leading the program, I brought lived experience, and I'm certified as a peer support specialist. And so my background is in art. I'm from Frankfort, but I attended Ringling College of Art. So I brought my arts degree, but also my lived experience in recovery. And so the program morphed a little bit to more of a mental health supportive program using the arts, which Doris and the ladies were doing that as well. But it just expanded. And today we have 2 peer supports, myself and our program coordinator, Amanda, who have 10 plus years each in recovery. And we have an art therapist on our staff who has 30 plus years working with people in recovery, veterans, things of that nature. So we have group and individual art therapy sessions. And we have a community recovery support group. So that's an arts class that anybody who's in recovery can come to for free every month and just be with other healthy people, make art, and eat good food. And then we do collab projects, and those are those collaborative experiences where we bring the police department together with people in recovery. If you all have seen the murals down the side of the building on Yes Arts on Conway and 2nd, those were done together collaboratively with the police department. And a couple of weeks ago, we debuted another mural at the Women's Show at Fresh Start Frankfort that was a gazebo, so you should check that out. Our second bucket is community. And this started with some outreach programs early on, and we still today, people know us as the people who bring big sandboxes and face paint for kids and all kinds of, gobs of art supplies and beads and things. But we also have an art gallery in our building, 3 different rooms of art galleries that host local and regional exhibits. So we are very supportive of our arts community, and we love hosting artists, and we're just barely on the tip of the iceberg working our way down our local artist. We also host an artist roster that is about 70 artists in our community and surrounding communities who teach in our programs. And then we also have a Black Women Artist of Frankfort network that was started in 2019, I believe. And it's about a dozen Black female artists who we help write grants. We provide space for programming and outreach, and they do a lot with K-State. And Jackie Gordon-Duvall is our program coordinator. So I talked a little bit about the yes card, and so there's a lot of yeses in this, and this yes is just say yes at the health department. So if you hear about those cards, it's funding kids getting connected to programs like what we do at Yes Arts, arts classes, summer camps, things of that nature. The other piece to the Just Say Yes program is data collection, and that's a really important piece because without data, we don't know if our programs are effective. And one of the things with all of the opioid abatement funds and the money streaming into our communities across the state and across our nation for recovery and treatment and things like that, there's not as much funding going into prevention. And we all talk about how we keep pulling people out of the river, but at what point do we stop and funnel some of our dollars upstream and stop the children from falling into the river. And so that's what Yes Arts Youth Program is, and that is what the Just Say Yes program is all about. It's about identifying universal prevention, children who they're toddlers, they're school-age kids, they're not yet at risk, and putting healthy things in place in our community so that they have those resources and grow up in a healthier environment. And so the Just Say Yes collects data. I think it's about 80 question surveys every year for middle and high school students, and we get the results back within 8 weeks. And then ourselves and all of the partners who work within this group have, within 8 weeks, data about our children within 2 months. Of our kids in the buildings, in the schools, they can dissect it down to the school level. And so it's questions about mental health and about, do you have a non-family, trusted person? It talks about drug use, alcohol use, cigarettes, vaping. It asks a lot of questions. It talks about hard things that are hard for kids to answer, but the schools deliver the survey and support it. And it's been really, really beautiful for our community. Another organization that we partner with greatly is Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation. And Amy Snow is the executive director there, and they work with children who have incarcerated parents. And I could go on for 3 hours talking about all the programs, but they do groups within the school. How many of you all knew we have 800 identified children with incarcerated parents in Franklin County? That's just the ones who are identified. That's not even the ones we haven't caught yet, 800. And so every single school in the city and county district have a crush group, which is kids rising up through support and healing, and they bring those kids together and they give them social emotional learning curriculum and they do activities. And so the kids come to Yes Arts, they have Yes cards to spend on those things that their family and caregivers might not be able to afford. And they have mentorship programs, Amachi, they're bringing a Boys and Girls Club to Frankfort. So there's a lot of good stuff here that I could go on and on about. So that was a lot of information. I'm not furry friends, I'm backing up one. So basically what we do at Yes Arts, what we do at Wanda Joyce, what we do at Just Say Yes, the three of our organizations, we think of ourselves as kind of the prevention core team in Franklin County. And if you Google search any of us, you're gonna see a lot of people in our state and also in our nation looking at what Yes Arts and Just Say Yes and Wanda Joyce are doing, because it's very innovative. It's programs that aren't being done in other places and that are getting results because we invest in the data and we invest in, ensuring sustainability. So Wanda Joyce and Yes Arts both became organizations around 2018. So we're young organizations. Just Say Yes is even younger than us because we started it. And so from 2021, Yes Arts grew from about $38,000, and today we're over a $500,000 organization. And so some very rapid growth, but that just speaks to the need in our community. And a couple other things to know is I'm not going to speak on behalf of Wanda Joyce and the other organizations, but for Yes Arts, we are funded by a variety of different ways. We have a federal grant from SAMHSA, which is the Substance Use and Mental Health, and Wanda Joyce and Just Say Yes are sub-recipients on that grant, so we receive funding and push it out to them as well. We receive opioid abatement funds from the state. We receive city and county subsidy dollars. We partner with the police department for Department of Justice microgrants. We have lots and lots of local level donors and corporate sponsors. We've got bank people who support us and all kinds of things. So we're trying to keep our funding streams diverse because we know grants can come and go. And the reality is, with the rapid growth and going from 1 employee to 39 contract workers within my organization, I need to be able to sustain that beyond every single year. So just be sure that when you're thinking about where you might be giving your dollars, don't forget that looking upstream and looking at our children is a really, really important factor in us being a healthy community. And I think because I'm talking to people who are really passionate and active in our community, that they are the yous of tomorrow. And so if they're not healthy, they're not going to be sitting in this room reflecting on what's going on in our, in our world and making change. They're going to be struggling. And so I'm in the business of helping people be healthy. And so thank you all for your time. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you, Elle. And now we're going to move from taking care of people to taking care of our furry friends. So, we'll go. Oops. The next slide. Our next speaker is Carrie Lowry, who is, where did she go? Oh, there you are. Who has, I guess, overseen a remarkable time in the Franklin County Humane Society, and she's going to talk a little bit about that, and then and a little bit, I guess, about Lifehouse as well. If you don't mind. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Harry, and thank you all for inviting me. Again, my name is Carrie Lowry. I am the Executive Director of Franklin County Humane Society. It sounds like we're the old people in the group. The Humane Society was founded on October 10th, 1945. The first facility where they housed animals was actually a home at the end of Wilkinson, right on the river, that doesn't exist anymore. In 1969, the organization went over to, I'm in charge of the clicker, aren't I? The organization moved across the river onto Kentucky Avenue, where it existed for 54 years and survived 6 major floods in Frankfort, as you all know. And then in June of 23, we moved into our new $6.5 million facility. I've got some stats, but before I get into that, I just want to say, and I've heard a couple people make this comment about how connected we are. Some of you may understand that, you know, the humane societies came into being to fill a void that communities had for stray dogs and stray cats, because in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the concept of dog pound came to be, and that was a response to communities trying to control rabies in their communities. And so that's pretty much all they did, was take in stray dogs and then dispose of them. Either they found them homes, or, you know, if they were ill, then of course they didn't survive. But Humane Societies came about in order to fill the gap between the dog pound, which was kind of an end run, then to looking out to the future for these animals. And I've been with this organization since 2012, so I'm starting my 12th year with the organization. When I came, we were still in a transition from a facility that saw itself as only sheltering animals. We took them in, but we didn't, we got a lot of them out. I'll say that these are some of the ones that we take in. Y'all don't have to look at people, you get to look at furry little pets. I will note that all of these pictures come from the new facility, so you can kind of see puppies in the tub. Then when puppies come in, they're usually not clean, so they get cleaned up. That bottom right picture is from the new clinic, dogs out in the dog yards, things like that. But since 2019, I'm going to point this out. These are the animals, total animals we've taken in, reclaims, animals placed for adoption, transferred to other facilities like Lifehouse or All About Animals, which is Trudy Johnson's organization that we've worked with. So there's been a lot of, and this is just the last 6 years. So tens of thousands of animals have come through our facility. They just got better at keeping stats in that amount of time. And then, of course, cats. As we know, there's lots and lots of cats. Frankfort has always had a bit of a cat situation, I would say. A couple of you mentioned the Rosens, and I will say that in December of 2019, Rich came to me and said, what's your most pressing need at the Humane Society? And I said, we have got to figure out a way to get all these cats in this community spayed and neutered. And at the time, at the end of 2019, we were taking in about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 cats a year. We're coming into that old facility. For those of you that know, yeah, I know, I know, yeah. Grimace. These pictures are all from the new facility as well. That, I'm going to go back to that original first slide. Last year, we took in 625 cats. It's not because we didn't have space for them. It's because all the CATS program and our TNR program have been so incredibly successful that we flipped the numbers. So we used to do 200 to 300 spay-neuter surgeries for cats that were owned by members of the community, and then you tack on another 300 to 400 TNR cats, trap, neuter, return. I'll talk about that in a second. Versus the 1,000 to 1,200 we brought into the facility, and now we are doing over 700 community spay neuters, over 1,000 if you include trap, neuter, and return, and only taking in 625. We began to shift our focus from just simply taking in animals to, well, how can we meet people where they are with their pets so that they don't have to give them up. And so, for instance, if you came to the shelter in 2020 and you had a cat and a litter of kittens that you just wanted to give to us, we would say, well, hold on. What if we get them all fixed for you? You know, if you have friends that want the kittens, great. If not, we'll take the kittens and put them up for adoption. But in the meantime, we'll fix your mom cat so you don't have to keep having kittens. And people were like, you mean I can keep my cat? Yeah, we would like you to keep your cat because we don't need your cat. We have plenty of cats. And so that first year, we more than doubled the number of cat surgeries we did through our spay-neuter program, just owned cats. It was phenomenal. Then we ended up getting additional grant money from Bluegrass Area Development District that administers funds from the Joni Bernard Foundation. If any of you all have seen the videos of a little cat, what's his name? Oh, gosh. But anyway, it's out of Cincinnati, and so this program is almost entirely funded through grants, and what it puts back into the community is anywhere from $45,000 to $50,000 worth of services each year that people could not afford. So if you own a cat in Franklin County and it needs to be fixed and it needs to be vaccinated and we throw in some flea and tick preventative as well, it's entirely free. Entirely free. And we're a little unusual for organizations of our type in Kentucky because there is no state mandate for shelters or animal control to provide services for cats at all in the state of Kentucky. There is no mandate, dogs only. So a lot of these smaller communities around the state don't have the resources to provide for them. So we're kind of leading the way on that and feel pretty good about that. So just to give you a for instance, these are community spay-neuter and shelter spay-neuter. So the NS is non-shelter, the S is shelter. But in total, just since 2019, we've done almost 9,300 spay-neuter surgeries, either at the old facility. We used to do it down there, and then we moved to the old health department building on East Main in 2020. Where we didn't have air conditioning. That was a fun 2 years. Then we were over on C. Michael Davenport, and then we were over on 127 until we finally got to move into our new facility. So this is the impact that we have in our community. we feel, and so that's a little bit of our dog being monitored and surgery. The fellow back there with the rabbit ears is Ray Smith, who was one of the board members. He is now our main surgery prep person. So we do community spay neuter. We do our clinics 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we have a group of volunteers that come in every week on those days, and they prep the animals for surgery. They clean and sterilize instruments. They monitor the animals after surgery, and we do about 25 to 30 surgeries each day in about 4.5 to 5 hours. We are, as my greatest generation father would have said, a going concern. We are all about fixing the dogs and the cats in our community. Those are some puppies that we did, and so, and in addition to that, we also began in 2012, thanks to Gay Broadwater, Mike Nolan, a program for the feral and community cats, our trap, neuter, and return program. Since then, we've done a total of 4,334 stray, unowned cats in the city of Frankfort, Franklin County, 58 from out of county where we've helped Owen County because they don't have a lot of resources. And at the cost of that, now $177,000 over the last 12 years is literally the cost. Now, if you went to a regular veterinarian where you had to have it, you could easily quadruple that number for what it would cost to have fixed over 4,000 cats, just the surgery alone. So this is entirely funded through our Bluegrass Area Development District grant and our donors from the Humane Society. So that's a lot of cats in 12 years. The good news about this is another reason we know that spay neuter is working is because the numbers are going down consistently year after year of cats that are in need of this service. And that's pretty exciting for us. This is most of our TNR people, the cat in a trap there's a little cat on top of a fence post that was released after surgery. Some of the volunteers doing what they do. Just a little plug on, if you see a cat and the tip of its left ear is missing, it's been neutered and vaccinated, and it has a caregiver. There's somebody in the community that's feeding it. So it is a phenomenal program. Our very first clinic, TNR clinic, involved Mike Nolan, Gay Broadwater, some other folks who I had come and gone by the time I came into the organization, taking the old school bus. For those of you who've been to the old shelter, you remember that old green school bus somebody donated? Going over, they trapped 35 cats behind Taco Bell out on Versailles Road. Took them over to Hope Spay Neuter Clinic. At the time, we didn't have the clinic space to do that. And that is what launched the TNR program in Franklin County. We've got a really beautiful mural at the shelter that Grace Rogers painted in honor of Gay Broadwater. That it's paw prints on the walls. Wish I had a picture of it, that identify the significant locations throughout the county where we've done just TNR. Part of this shift in focus on spay neuter involved shifting our focus out into the community. Again, meeting people where they were with their pets, addressing the pets' needs out in the community so we didn't have to address them in the building. So since 2019, we vaccinated over 2,000 community animals free, provided over 2,000 vaccinations, rabies, distemper, FERCP, whatnot, free of charge. Over 236 community animals microchipped, free of charge. 590 flea and tick products distributed free of charge. And this number down here, 7,500 pounds, is, I'm sorry, that is wrong. That is just, these numbers are just last year's numbers. I'm sorry, that's just last year. 7,500 pounds of food and supplies distributed. We do operate a food bank for dogs and cats. If you have rabbits or guinea pigs, we have some of those supplies on hand. And so people can come to us and get food or cat litter supplies if they need them to help them with their animals. Every year we try to do it twice a year. When we moved and in the pandemic it was a little tricky, we do our community vaccination clinic out typically at Lakeview Park. In 23 in September, because we had missed the spring, we did over 600, there we go. We did over 600 vaccination animals. We vaccinated over 600 animals, so we probably did about 1,500 vaccines. You can see in that bottom picture, those are people lined up at the Hancock Pavilion for that particular clinic. We do some programming with the fire department, the city fire department. They helped us launch our new program called Tail Blazers. You can come down to the shelter and check out a dog for the day. We have a whole packet of information about great trails that you can take them for walks, restaurants that are pet friendly, that offer pup cups and that sort of thing. We invite you to take pictures, post them on our, tag us in our social media and get them out. So this couple here with the dog in the blue folder are getting ready to go out, take a dog out for Tail Blazers. We work a lot with drug court, folks that are looking for employment. They just had a graduation yesterday. Was it yesterday. And Judge Wingate commented that every single person that we've employed has graduated from drug court. And we're pretty proud of that. It's kind of a big deal. One of those people is now our shelter manager, Christina, and she's been a real blessing to our organization. So we also have co-op students, co-op students from the high school that come and volunteer. We also have 2 young women who are our residents at the Stewart home, and they come 2 days a week and volunteer as well, and they work with the cats primarily. But those are the kinds of ways we want to be a part of this community. These are just, happy pictures because everybody likes to see dogs and cats. But I have to give a plug out to our former board president, Sam Marcus, who really spearheaded the Capitol campaign. In 2013, they had a bequest of $287,000. And some folks said, well, we should build a new shelter with that money. Yeah. And turns out you can't build an animal shelter for $287,000, but you can build a pretty nice one for $6.5 million. And that is what the new facility the cost of the new facility ended up being. We just paid off a very small note that we had, so I can say that the building is completely paid for, which is pretty exciting. But Sam and then some pretty significant donors made sure that we got a really, really good jump start on that campaign. And I will say, too, that we have great community partners with the City of Frankfort and with Franklin County Fiscal Court because they each gave us $1 million towards that new facility. And Frankfort Plant Board, which helped pay for our road and things like that. But about 85% of the money that went into that new building came from this community. And it's just astounding to me how generous this little community, which relatively small community is, and the things that we all are doing here in Frankfort is pretty exciting stuff. But this facility right here, I can easily say, is the nicest one in the state and one of the nicest in the country. And our community did that. We're very, very proud of that. And I hope that if you haven't, you will come by and visit. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 5, Sunday 12 to 4. Monday's the only day that we don't open to the public, but we would love to have people come visit. I love to give tours of the building and talk about it and talk about its functionality and all the things that we put into it. It's awfully, awfully nice to sit in my office and watch the rain come down in buckets and know that I don't have to get up and go put sandbags around the front door anymore. So that's pretty much all I have just to talk about that. Does anybody have any questions for me about us and our programming? Mm-hmm.
So do you have staff or volunteer that, you were talking about where you track the stray cats, but for stray dogs, like, do you go out and get the strays, or do they need to be brought to you, or if there's one running around in the neighborhood, like,
It's a great question. That's a great question. She was asking about stray dogs, and this applies to stray cats as well. So we are the contracted animal shelter for the city of Frankfort and fiscal court. So they employ animal control officers whose responsibility is to go out, pick up stray dogs. If somebody calls and says, hey, there's a stray dog in my yard, that is their responsibility. We do not have the law enforcement engagement. That's not what we do. Now with trap, neuter, return, we do help people by taking traps out, helping them trap, that sort of thing. But we also take strays in from anybody in the community can come anytime during regular business hours and drop off a stray animal. That's always something that people can do. And then we also take in owner surrender animals. People are not able to care for their own animals for whatever reason. We house animals for people that are incarcerated, hospitalized, and of course we house animals that are involved in court cases. So, does that answer your question? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do people get more information about housing while they're incarcerated, and do you also take animals and house them for people who need to go into treatment? We've seen a lot of people who won't go to treatment because they won't leave their
Because they have an animal. We have, so typically if the way animals come to us, if somebody's incarcerated, is when they're arrested. If there are animals in the house and there's not somebody there to care for them, animal control will bring them, or the police department, sheriff's department will bring them to our facility. And the city police and the sheriff's department, animal control, all have 24-hour access to the inside of our building so that no animals get left outside at night. We don't do that anymore. So that is one way. We have worked with Simon House, what was formerly the women's shelter, when they've had people that, again, wouldn't accept treatment unless they could accommodate their animals. I will say that it's very difficult for us and for the animal to remain in the shelter for that length of time. 30 days is somewhat manageable, but keep in mind we have sort of a priority order: stray animals, court cases, and so with a lot of it just depends on space. It depends on the kinds of animals, that sort of thing. We took in 16 dogs back in November. We're still housing some of those dogs. We took in 3 dogs and a cat that we're still housing in court cases, and those can last for months. So, but yeah, all they need to do is call and ask to speak with me or Christina, and we'll walk through that. And if we can't take them into the facility at that time, we can oftentimes help find a foster that can house them until then. So, anybody else? Thank you all.
Just going to wrap this up real quick. I hope tonight gave everybody the opportunity to remember why they think Frankfort's a great place to live, and just that there are so many things going on, so don't forget that. And when somebody's being all sour and everything, just either ignore them or remind them. I know we have to get out of here. The library shuts down at 8, and they're serious about us getting out of here. So I appreciate y'all coming out, and we'll do it again. Thank you.